David Henderson now, civil rights attorney, former prosecutor, CNBC contributor. David, Derek Chauvin's former police supervisor testified that he should have ended restraint after Floyd stopped resisting. How big of an impact will that moment have on the outcome of this trial?
Shep, that's going to have a huge impact on the outcome of the trial. And not just because of what he said, but because of who said it. This is kind of like the family rule. I can say things about my family. You can't say things about my family. The police can say things about the police that other people can't. So it's not just what was said, but who said it.
And an EMT said that the cops were still on top of George Floyd while they were checking his pulse, and that officers just wouldn't remove themselves. You wonder how the defense is going to deal with that.
Despite everything that's been said so far, Shep, that's the most important testimony so far. And when this trial is all said and done, I think that the second DMT that you heard from, Derek Smith, will end up being the most important witness, because not only did he say that, he also said there is no reason they could not have started doing chest compressions. That's a nail in the coffin.
A nail in the coffin, right there.
I think so. Because when doctors look at this footage, one of the things they typically say is, why aren't they trying to revive him? And Smith also said that. Smith said, he's a human being. I wanted to give him a second chance at life. Chauvin has to come up with a really good reason why he didn't do the same thing.
You say Chauvin has to come up with it, not his lawyers. You're saying again for the fourth day, he's got to testify.
And it just gets worse and worse for him as the case goes on, Shep. Yes. I think that Derek Smith, again, my money's on him for being the most important witness in the case, because we already heard it's going to be a battle of experts at the end of the day, right? The EMTs turned the tide. They're not interested in the case. Smith didn't seem like he even wanted to be there. They don't have a dog in this fight. They're just telling the truth.
Yeah, he's just there as a medic. I mean, that's his job. He's not a professional witness or anything like that. But back to this matter of Chauvin testifying. He runs a lot of risk. I know you've said he needs to come up there and show that he's compassionate, that he's sorry, that he wished it hadn't happened, to show some emotion. But there's so much that the prosecution could do to him in that moment.
That's absolutely true, Shep. But the problem is he's already at risk. And so when you're losing big, you have to gamble big. That's what it comes down to. I'll also say this. Our degrees say attorney and counselor at law. That and counselor part is really important. You have to counsel him and get him to the position where he can do it if you're his lawyer and you're trying to do a good job.
You've been critical of the defense's cross-examination of prosecution witnesses all week, really. How'd they do today?
Much better today. They got on cross-examination with the EMTs, they got them to acknowledge that, you know what, a police officer is riding in the ambulance, because sometimes people do wake up if they're on drugs and they do get violent. You also have an officer in the back of the ambulance who did start performing chest compressions, which implies they didn't know they were supposed to have to do it up until now. And the biggest thing he did right, he stopped, and he didn't press witnesses like Derek Smith, who wouldn't have done well under aggressive cross-examination.
Drug use is firmly established now. Even his girlfriend said, I noticed a change in his behavior over the last couple of weeks. Is there a chance in your mind that for some jurors, that's going to mean, I don't know about a guilty verdict when he was clearly on drugs?
I mean, that's the problem, Shep. We call it the war on drugs for a reason, right? And so I thought George Floyd's girlfriend did a good job by helping to humanize them, but she also talked a lot about drug use. I mean, we heard the words overdose, heroin, prior pill use. That's not good for conservative jurors. When conservative jurors hear about drug use, they tend to feel afraid of drug users, especially big ones. And when they do that, they don't have a problem with aggressive policing.
David, thanks so much. David Henderson. Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.